Okay, this is for Accounting 203. It's a continuation of the lecture on using the FASB guidance for accounting research. In the first video, we talked about the history of GAAP and how the codification is organized. So if codification is the only source of GAAP, then there needs to be a process for keeping it up to date. And this little flow chart comes off of the FASB website, and it describes the process. There's a variety of ways that the FASB learns about a need for a change, and so they make a decision based on suggestions and feedback from accounting firms, feedback from regulators like the SEC, feedback from financial statement preparers, that there's a need for something to be added to GAAP. The second part of the flow chart shows that they have their staff members look into that question, and based on that information, they make a decision about whether or not to continue pursuing the topic. If they're interested in updating GAAP, the ideas that they're talking about get issued in something called a exposure draft. Those are published on the FASB website, and there's usually a 60 or 90-day period where anybody who's interested in that topic can indicate if they like the proposed change, dislike the proposed change, or have a better idea. The FASB also holds hearings and roundtables on the subjects. So besides getting the written comments to the exposure draft, they also meet with stakeholders one-on-one. They take the comments and deliberate the ideas and suggestions. That means they may make changes to the original exposure draft, and if the idea is a go, and just because they issued an exposure draft, that does not mean the FASB will make changes, but if they make a go, they vote on it. And there are 7 members on the FASB board, and a majority is required for something to become GAAP. So with at least a 4-3 vote, the final standard gets issued. They let the public know about that. There's usually a time delay between when a new accounting standard or accounting update is issued and when it has to be implemented. That gives people a chance to learn about it and gather information that is needed. And once that's done, they later look at the costs and benefits and the reaction to their decision. The updates are published on the FASB website, so I'm going to follow this link there. And like most websites, there's quite a bit of information that's available. We're going to look at one that was issued in 2014, dealing with the subject of going concern. This one here, number 15, and you can see where it relates to in the codification. And if we click on that link, we've got to accept, and here's the document that the FASB issued regarding going concern. So I'm just going to scroll down to one part here. Here it says, right, this is before this item was issued, currently there is no guidance about management's responsibility to evaluate whether there is substantial doubt about an entity's ability to continue as a going concern or to provide related footnote disclosures. So GAAP says management needs to look into the future and decide whether or not there's significant problems that may cause them to shut down, go bankrupt, or have issues. If there is substantial doubt, right, the entity should include a statement in the footnotes indicating that there is substantial doubt to continue as a going concern within 1 year after the date of the financial statements are issued. The entity should disclose information that enables users of the financial statements to understand all of the following. So what's the problem? How did you evaluate the problem? What's your plan for dealing with the problem? So this is a relatively new GAAP, and we know that financial statements are prepared on the basis of a going concern, right? Assuming that the company is going to continue to be around. So if management believes there's a problem, we now have guidance as to what they should do. In order to log in to the codification, you see the information on the handout, and the same information is also on our class's Sakai site. So it's pretty simple. Click on the link, and we've got a certain username. We've got a certain password, and then you just hit submit. Here's the government accounting system. We're not interested in that. We want the financial accounting codification. It may ask you to agree. And so when you get there, it'll look like this. So the way to look up GAAP, right, is a lot of it has to do with browsing, and you'll see how it highlights different pages. So I am in 360-10. And in 360-10-30, there's paragraph 30-1, which talks about interest when you've acquired an asset. So there's basically two ways to do financial accounting research. Since the codification is arranged as a hierarchy, right, starting with assets, liabilities, revenue, you can drill down to find the section, the topics that you're interested in, or as we can see on the website, there's also a search function. So we'll, in the next class, in the live computer lab portion of the class, look at some examples of how that works. So in terms of the quiz that you'll take, in this case it'll just be 5 questions, and it'll deal with the 4 topics that were discussed on the top of the outline. If you have any questions, please get in touch with me. Thank you.